Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another short little unboxing video to share with you guys. We have a Spyderco. Thank goodness it's been so long since I've been able to take a look at some Spyderco knives. I had some models that I really wanted to take a look at, and for one reason or another, throughout the year, I was not able to get my hands on these until River's Edge Cutlery came through. So thank you so much to River's Edge Cutlery for letting me get a hold of these and share them with people, allow me to give my thoughts. Make sure you check out River's Edge Cutlery. I've got them linked down in the description, as well as this knife directly. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. So what do we have here? We have a Spyderco model that I have taken a look at. But this has a very interesting element. And that element, I'm sure many of you can already guess, is that this particular folder is in a legendary knife steel. Now, when I say legendary knife steel, in recent years, that has kind of a lot of the fluff and like the ooh and the mystique has been pulled out of that. Because between, I would say from 2022 to 2024, our access to these insane exotic steels has gone through the roof. Through the roof. S90V used to be a pretty big deal. Now, you can kind of just get it. Like, we got knives that cost less than $100 in S90V. Vanax, right? We got these crazy, what is it, the 15Vs and the Rex 45s. And Spyderco's always made really interesting knife steels, somewhat more available. But now we've got lots of different companies, American, Chinese, Italian, German, whoever. All these companies have better access to a lot of these previously considered exotic steels, save for one. Well, save for a few. There's plenty of steels out there. But the king of edge retention, the absolute undisputed king, and by quite a bit, might I add, has always been the legendary Rex 121. No company has been willing to work with it because in the past, from what I understand, Rex 121 is just really, really hard to work with. I mean, this stuff gets hard. Over 70 HRC, believe it or not. So we have this in a super fantastic model, arguably Spyderco's one of Spyderco's best models ever. And if you didn't know this, like, I highly recommend the Sage 5, because that's what this is. Whether you get it in the injection mold, the FRN, or you get it in a G10 or whatever, the Sage 5 is incredible. A lot of people would tell you it is absolutely the best of the compression lock EDC folders, right? But now we have Rex 45 Rex 45. We have the Sage 5 in properly heat-treated Rex 121. To my knowledge, Spyderco is the only company ever to create a production knife in Rex 121, right? This is a crazy culmination of things. Rex 121 is not a tough steel. This does not make this like an all-purpose EDC knife, right? In fact, very, very specifically, this makes this a light to, I would even like shy away from the medium. I would say this is going to be your strictly general EDC. Maybe periodically you go in something a little bit heavier, but this is your all 100% all cutting, right? And because if you do that, the Rex 121 will last essentially forever. Especially if you treat this blade correctly. Stropping it, for the most part, will bring it back to, you might have to work slightly harder, but just stropping your Rex 121 is going to keep that edge ridiculously sharp forever, right? Out of the box, yeah, it's sharp. It's a Spyderco, right? We have the leaf-shaped blade, good geometry, all that. I think this is really, truly a perfect culmination. Like, if we're really going to get a steel like Rex 121 into the hands of the masses, right, or as massive as we could, right, to really properly accentuate it, you're going to need a geometry like this or similar, right? And you're going to need a company like Spyderco who is known for pushing the limits on these steels. They get that HRC really high. Now, I think Spyderco's at that 70 mark. Somebody can correct me in the comments, but Rex 121 is truly dramatically superior to anything. I mean, this stuff was created to push the limits of what a blade is actually capable of doing. I mean, it definitely was not created for pocket knives. The fact that we have Rex 121 on a pocket knife is kind of hilarious and ridiculous. But yeah, this is one of those steels, right? If you're new and you're just learning or have recently learned that there is a much bigger difference in blade steel composition than you realized, this is one of those steels that really puts it into perspective. There's a great article by Laren Thomas, an actual metallurgist who runs, the edge retention numbers in anywhere from proper heat treat to pretty close to proper heat treat, between all of these like really popular blade steels, right? So if you're new to knives and you're like, it's made out of metal, right? It came sharp out of the box. Like it'll cut like any other knife, right? That is one of the most common things that I hear from people who are stepping into this world for the first time. And to be fair, I used to think that too, right? It's sharp. It's going to cut just like every other knife, right? Wrong. It's actually the opposite. It's totally the opposite. It's not going to cut anything like any other knife for a number of different variables, right? Your edge bevel, your blade geometry overall, the thickness behind the edge and the overall geometry, the heat treat of the blade and the composition in question, all of these things will dramatically alter how the blade performs, right? Also, is it coated? Is it not coated? Does it have some sort of media blasting or some sort of special finish, right? All these little tiny things on top of the environment, what you're cutting, how long you're cutting, all of these things will change the experience that you have. And something that's very, very consistent with inexpensive knives is that all of these qualities are bad. You tend to have bad blade geometry, typically pretty bad sharpening from the factory, but if all you've ever purchased was cheap knives and cheap steel, you probably don't know any better, right? A sharp edge to you would be an incredibly dull edge to somebody, that's more familiar with this territory, right? So with inexpensive knives, they tend to have bad blade geometry, a poorly sharpened edge, incredibly poor blade steel composition, usually like 420J or 3CRs or whatever. Really, really bad. Not going to hold an edge very long. The main benefit of an inexpensive steel is that it's going to be stainless by default, right? Which is not really that special of an element until you're combining it with other elements, right? They typically have like paint or something that's going to slow the cutting down. The entire knife is not built well. It's usually got bad tolerances, right? So it just sort of falls apart or it doesn't last very long in any environment. But again, if that's all you ever buy, then you don't know any better. You just assume like this is typical knife performance, right? And you don't know that until you experience something better that actually makes the job easier. That only then do you realize I've been using a crappy tool forever, right? But if it's been working for you, then that's fine. Nobody needs to bump up if everything's working the way that they should, right? That everything's working the way that they want it to. So this is an expensive knife, right? The FRN version, I think, is $250 and the G10 version is $300. Rex 121, I always say like don't, when you're judging the price of a knife, like don't judge it based on the materials because that's just one part of the equation. You have to judge it in combination with a lot of other things. In this case, Rex 121 is legitimately a hyper expensive composition. It is ridiculously expensive to create. It's also ridiculously expensive to work with. Grinding this stuff, sharpening it, heat treating it, all of it. It is super expensive, substantially more expensive than something like M390. So yeah, in this case, you're paying for a nice Taichung Taiwan Spyderco, right? I mean, these are made well. They're manufactured well. That's part of it, but you're also paying for Rex 121. Not any Rex 121. You're paying for a Spyderco ground and heat-treated Rex 121 blade in probably the best geometry that they make. For a lot of people, this is the ultimate EDC, especially if you are not going to be taking your knives out and abusing them, because it's definitely not going to be an abusive, a knife that you're going to want to take out and abuse. But this is the ultimate EDC knife for a lot of people. My only gripe with this is that they chose burnt orange. Like, if your favorite color is burnt orange, like, that's fine. But, man, gosh, like, I would have taken literally any other color. If this were mine, I think I would immediately replace the scales. But I am really excited to learn about like exactly how long something like Rex 121 will last, because it's really, I mean, some of the craziest stuff that I've used is 15V or Rex 45. tungsten carbide, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people ask, will it even hold an edge longer than tungsten carbide? I think so, yeah. Obviously, geometry is going to play a role, as is the case with anything, but I think, yeah, it will. But this should it should hold an edge substantially longer than Rex 45 or even 15V, which is some of the other gnarliest stuff up there. Definitely Maximate, right? So, yeah, I'm really excited to find out, this has always been this mystery steel. Like every time I look at edge retention charts, like you remember the ones I would always look at charts like back in 2012 and 2014 when I was like really kind of like ramping up my interest in this hobby. And I would always see Rex 121 included on these charts, and it would always be so much higher. And I was like, what the heck is Rex 121? What's that steel? Are there knives actually made out of this stuff? And it turned out at the time, no. I mean, there were, but nobody wanted to work with it because they were like, screw that stuff. That stuff sucks. I can't, it's so chippy. It doesn't want to heat treat. It's too difficult, too expensive to work with. So it made it really put it up on a pedestal, right? I don't think that because this knife exists, do I think that means that, I'm not reviewing this knife right now. We're just kind of talking about it. Do I think that means that we're going to start seeing Rex 121 regularly throughout the knife industry? Not regularly, but if Spyderco can do it, other companies are going to try. Some, not all. We will see Rex 121 more than we have in the past, and I think much more importantly, much more interesting, is the fact that Spyderco is willing to work with it. I can't wait to see what other models they release in Rex 121. PM2 Para 3 Manix 2 Shaman. Please, Shaman, please. I know the geometry doesn't even make sense, Metal Complex, and you're still saying Shaman wrong. It's Shaman. Okay. But the fact that they're willing to work with it, right? Whatever they release is going to be expensive. They do a PM2 Para 3 Shaman in this, it's going to be expensive, guys. You're going to be paying over $400 for a Spyderco. That's what's going to happen. Maybe not. Maybe like $350. But that's what's going to happen. You're going to be paying a lot for it. This is interesting, though. I can't wait to see. I fully expect this to cut and cut and cut. I expect this to cut so long that I wear myself out and don't even want to find the end of it. Like, that's what's going to happen. So I'm also interested to see after I, fatigue the edge a bit, how easy it'll be to just drop back to life. The other thing is that a lot of times, with a lot of this steel, a lot of people remind me, there's something called, it's like bevel burn. And so the true power, right? The final form of this stuff really doesn't come out until after you've sharpened it once, right? There's almost like a break-in period for this. There's like a layer, I guess, on the cutting apex. You cut with it, and then you sharpen it, and then the real high-performance bevel is just slightly beneath the surface, right? So, I don't know. We'll see, but my guess is Spyderco did a really good job. But again, if you're considering picking up this knife, you're considering checking out the legendary Rex 121, just understand, this stuff is brittle. It is brittle. So, if you are the type of person whose knife is also a pry bar, a screwdriver, a hammer, a grappling hook, or some other thing that they already have optimized better tools for, this is not the blade steel for you. It was not made for you. If you are someone who cuts light to medium materials, boxes, paper, right, stuff like that, for long periods of time, right? Maybe your styrofoam, your rubber, things like that. Yeah, this is going to cut. It's going to cut a long time. I don't know that this is the right composition to use to process wood. I doubt it. I think you want something a lot lighter, a lot softer than that, but I don't know. If you have a lot of experience with Rex 121, I'd like to hear your thoughts. This has always been an interesting steel to me, and it's admittedly the first time I've ever handled a knife with this blade steel. In 2024, I got to be honest, I'm pretty bored with standard blade steel compositions. It's just not really all that interesting to me anymore, unless it's some sort of Sanmai or Damascus or Damasteel, Damacort, like stuff like that can be interesting, right? But these single composition steels have just kind of lost my interest because a lot of it seems to be very similar to something else that we've already experienced. But Rex 121 is definitely one of those steels where it's like, this has really got some special sauce in it, right? So anyways, this is cool. Thank you so much to River's Edge Cutlery. You can buy this and the G10 version at River's Edge Cutlery, so make sure and check them out. I'll have this listed there in the description. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on the Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.